Hey there, welcome to the Movie Review Mom YouTube channel. I'm the mom and I do the movie reviews. And my goal is to give you the heads up on filmmaking quality and content so you can decide whether or not you want to spend time or money or both sometimes watching a particular film. So I do movie reviews, trailer reactions, and documentary evaluations or analysis or reviews. And so that's what I'm doing today. Today, the film that I'm reviewing is called America's Burning. This kind of frustrating documentary about the awful state of my country opens in select theaters on July 12th, 2024. As I mentioned, it's a documentary, so it doesn't get the typical rating that feature films get. I would probably give it a PG-13 simply for a lot of the really awful images that show fighting and destruction and war and crazy things that are happening in our country. The film is 83 minutes long, and my overall movie review mom grade is an A-. So first I'm going to give you an overall, in a nutshell type of a view, and then I'll point out things I liked, things I didn't like, tips for parents, themes worth talking about, and then we'll finish up with a recommendation for another film that is sort of similar that you might also really like. But before we dive into all of that, I wanted to share today's featured item, which can be found on Amazon. You can click in the description below for that link, and it is an American flag. Now, that might seem cliche. However, I loved right after 9/11, when people were so frightened about what happened on 9/12, the American flags just went up everywhere on people's houses, on their cars, in their buildings, in their stores. And I loved that patriotism. And I found this flag for only $8.49 on Amazon. It's one of their best-selling flags, and it's designed to be an outdoor flag, so it's pretty sturdy. So in case you don't have one, or maybe you want another one, you can grab that. And it's an affiliate link, and so it doesn't cost you more to buy it through my link, but Amazon will send me a few little pennies just to let you know about that product. All right, back to the film. So in a nutshell, working families today feel abandoned. The American dream's promise of great social mobility for everyone is dying. Our compromised economic system is increasingly controlled by a corporate elite. Is the second Civil War possible? If so, how do we protect our democracy? Now, those are the words from the studio. Did they grab your attention? Yeah, I think so. The film, despite all of that, is surprisingly hopeful as it celebrates America's history of social and economic resilience. We can survive today's challenges by embracing a spirit of humility, empathy, and equity, recognizing that we are all in this together. And I love the song at the very end of the film, which talks about we are all in this together. The hatred and the division is no longer serving us. And the movie definitely makes that clear. The film was directed by New York Times bestselling author David Smith and executive produced by actor Michael Douglas, who also narrates all of the bad news that we hear, but also provides the hope. And Barry Levinson also co-produced it. So one of the taglines that is spoken in the film is, God bless America, God help America. We are in trouble. So quick tips for parents. Kids are definitely going to be bored. It's, political in many, many ways. There are scenes, as I mentioned, of violence and destruction in the United States, fires and smoke and violence and that kind of thing. There is also talk of concepts that are complex, like capitalism and socialism, among many that are talked about in the film. Some of the themes that are illustrated very well are the idea that we need to refuse the hate and stop with the division. We're not red Americans or blue Americans. We are simply Americans. We're not white Americans or black Americans. We are Americans. And to really latch on to that idea, and that will help us get through some of these really challenging times and problems. Other themes that are illustrated are the economy, innovation. And I love that they take a moment to talk about how, hey, we're America. We were able to do amazing things in our short history. We're not even 250 years old. And look at what we've done and how we rose to the top. We can still do it again. And it requires innovation. And the movie also spends some time warning of the dangers of socialism. And I'll share some quotes that I heard in the movie about that. And then, as I mentioned, the movie finishes up with hope and recognizing that the American dream that is so compelling is still alive and well. So here's a list of things that I really liked about the movie. First of all, a lot of people in America are finally waking up and realizing the very precarious situation that we're currently in. And because of that, I think the title of the documentary will definitely catch the attention of a lot of people. The people who are interviewed include James Carville, Amy Chua, In Bremer, Leon Panetta, James Baker, Arthur Brooks, Stan Druckenmiller, Catherine Gell, Hawk Newsom, and Larry Summers. I mean, those are some pretty big names, or names that you might have heard before. The film generally takes a nonpartisan look at America, and I was worried about that. I thought, oh, is this going to be a really liberal or a really conservative movie? And the answer is a little bit of both. And so I liked that it's not super obvious which side of the aisle this movie is being presented on. The images are shocking. They're also infuriating and also heartbreaking. There are some pretend news clips that show how a civil war might break out in America between red states and blue states and what that would look like. And those images are saddening and frightening. The film spent some time talking about the dangers of white nationalism, and it shows how a young man that was set to inherit that movement chose to love over hate. That was a really powerful moment in the film. And I think it's going to take the younger generation to show the older generation how those attitudes and perspectives did not serve our country and that we can come together. During the film, we often see text written on the screen to announce the theme of the next segment. And there are even chapters that the film is divided into. For example, at about the halfway point, we see this statement written in big, bold letters, quote, "The biggest threat to our democracy is the collapse of the American dream. This isn't a Democrat or a Republican problem. It's an American problem," end quote. We see video clips of stand-up comedians and movies on various subjects. The good news about this film is that it ends on a very hopeful note. Despite its ominous title, the film illuminates the fact that America has an impressive history of resilience in the face of adversity, and so our best days could lie ahead. At the end of the movie, the audience is given a challenge. The words on the screen say, quote, "If you were moved by this film, call your member of Congress with this message." And then here's the message. America's best days could still lie ahead if our leaders stop the hate and division and begin to put our country before party. And I think everybody would agree with that our politicians out there nowadays are really self-serving and are towing the party line and are doing things that are not at the best interest of the individuals in this country. And they forget it's we, the people, who run this country. But they sure don't make us feel like that, do they? Wow, I'm getting super political in this review. Now, onto the list of things that I didn't like. The film doesn't really offer any great solutions for America's ills. It just sort of paints this bleak picture, and I would have liked to have seen more conversation about that. There were some errors on some of the written text on the screen that I mentioned. And yes, I'm a university professor. I notice things like that. I wish I didn't notice little things like that because it sounds so nitpicky. And I couldn't tell if the title America's Burning meant America is burning, like a contraction, or is it the possessive form of America's burning as opposed to Germany's burning or Russia's burning, you know what I mean? So they could have been a little bit more clear. But again, the title caught my attention and made me want to watch it. So whenever I watch movies, I write down interesting lines and just basically to share them with you so you can kind of get a taste and the feel of the dialogue or the script writing quality. Now, I did not write down any funny lines. The state of America is scary and dangerous. This is a very serious movie. However, I did write down quite a few interesting lines, and you can see all of them on my moviereviewmom.com website. But I'll share some of them with you right now. This was an interesting line spoken by Walker Percy, who's an American writer from 1960, and he died in 1990. He said, despite great scientific and technological advances, man has not the faintest idea of who he is or what he's doing, end quote, which I 100% agree with. We have the technology to do incredible things, but we never stop to ask, should we be doing those things? And I think that has gotten us in a lot of trouble. I liked this next quote. It's an ancient Hebrew proverb, which says, a true hero is one who turns an enemy into a friend. And again, that reiterates the idea of let's end the hate and the division, and let's work together, link arms, and solve these problems. In speaking about socialism and how so many young people nowadays are looking at that as an option, they just sort of dismiss capitalism and say, that didn't work, people are greedy, but they don't really look at what socialism has done to other countries. And James Carville, who is such an expert in politics, says the alternatives to capitalism never work. And he talks about that for some time. Another quote is by Michael Douglas, the actor, and he says, our future is in our hands if we can come to our senses. Like, all sanity has just flown out the window nowadays. And then another famous line by Abraham Lincoln says, America will never be destroyed from the outside. If we falter and lose our freedoms, it will be because we destroyed ourselves. And that's the danger that everybody who's got their eyes open is seeing. There is danger that we will destroy ourselves. All right, so whenever I watch movies, I instantly think of other films. And so I wanted to share another documentary that I thought was really good because it focuses on the good that we can do. It's called America, the Story of Us. You get a little bit of information that will be interesting to history buffs, but I think you'll also get a nice balance between the woes that we're experiencing today and the reminder of what American people can do and how inspired our actual Constitution was and how great this country is still. Anyway, when you get a minute, give me a thumbs up if this review was helpful in your deciding whether or not to watch this. Subscribe, of course. Tell everybody to come here and get the scoop on film, and run over and visit me on social media. You can find me as Movie Review Mom, but you can also find me as Trina Boice, where you can learn about my 31 books and my online courses and my other products and my other shenanigans. Have a fantastic day, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye for now.